Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Play Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
Booyah! It's time for the Game Sports Show. You're listening to the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or on the Scott Neeson YouTube channel. You may have also been directed through our Facebook page or Instagram page at the Game Sports Show or at the Game Sports Show SSM, respectively. It is December the 6th, 2018, and we're here live for our Thursday edition at Northern Superior Brewing Company. And we have an action-packed show as always here. Tonight we're going to be covering local hockey and professional hockey and also a little bit of baseball news. And on tonight's agenda we have Mike Hall coming by from the Sault College Cougars, and then Dane, Justin, and I are going to be talking about the National Hockey League with the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're going to be talking about the Seattle expansion. We're going to be talking about more expansion teams potentially even being added onto there. We're going to be talking about the Leafs' best season. We're going to be talking about everything when it comes to the best up news with the National Hockey League. And then with baseball, we're going to jump into something that the St. Louis Cardinals did yesterday, adding a pretty big first baseman to their roster. Very excited, though, to have Mike Hall come on by with the Game Sports Show's new partnership with the Sault College Cougars, as their games were canceled this weekend. So we'll be getting into that and talk about their future games and previous game reaction, along with some news and updates from the coach himself. I want to say thanks to Scott Neeson, who is our board operator tonight, and to you, the listeners, for coming on by, as always, here with the Game Sports Show. Now, you can listen to previous editions of the Game Sports Show. Last night, Jamie and I were at Sports Center Bar and Grill. We had Tom Annett, head coach of the Core Colt senior team, after their offset victory, come on by, and it was a nice long edition there with Tommy Annett. And also, Jamie and I continued into our year-round in the pocket segment and basketball discussion about the Toronto Raptors. And with football, talking about Week 13 and Week 14 respectively. So make sure you go on and check out that show as well. And you can listen to a previous edition of the Wicked Sister Show from Monday with Scott Nason, Butch Davis, and EJ Russell, as yours truly was not available to attend. Later on this week, we still have one more show after tonight. It is Sunday at Icebreakers. We plan to be at Icebreakers in between the hours of 2 to 3 p.m. or after 9 p.m. with the full coverage of the local roundup when it comes to hockey with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, Sault Thunderbirds, and OJHL, and also would have been the Sault College Cougars, but they are off this weekend. Now, without further ado, I have Dane and Justin here with me. Let's bring in the fellows. The first guy to my right here, Dane. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. A little tired after today's hockey game. 6-goal performance.
In a pickup game.
And I was bored of my pickup game. I'm in our charity tournament. It's for a good cause. But after the team went 0-3, I had to do something to keep our pride.
Pull up the socks. Now the guy in front of me right now, wearing the Toronto Maple Leaf shirt, and as we sit here, the Leafs are playing against the Detroit Red Wings. Not a game that's the best right now, but it is getting tight going into the third period. Justin, how you doing, sir?
I mean, 4-2 isn't what I would describe as tight, but I'm not bad. I'm doing okay. I also did not score any goals today. 0 goals.
0 goals, but you worked hard at work, though. Or there. You were there. I could say the same thing. Now, fellas, we're actually going to jump into break right away here. We're going to have Mike Hall coming as he is here. We're going to have a quick and dirty show is what we like to call it here on the Game Sports Show. So we're going to get Mike here. I'm going to let you two enjoy a couple beers here from Northern Superior Brewing Company. I'm going to bring in Mike. Him and I are also going to sip on some beers, but talk some local hockey with the Sault College Cougars and some history talk while he was coaching the North Stars. I might even get him to touch on Craig Hartsburg's topic today. And like I said, and saving this point for last year before we go to break, Craig Hartsburg's upload will be coming up either later tonight or tomorrow, Friday. And we're going to be having Craig Hartsburg editions every week or even every bi-weekly kind of basis, and that will be either his own segment uploaded or it will be combined with our Thursday show. You will be able to hear that show at the end of this show, just in case you missed the individual upload, but for the majority, his own segment will be uploaded independently. So any confusion with that, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Craig Hartsburg by commenting below. Fellas, taking a quick break. When we come back, Mike Hall will be joining us. Don't go anywhere.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Play Museum, right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a Northern thing.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course. You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Hi, it's Craig Hartsburg, former NHL player and NHL coach. Welcome to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Yours truly, David McCaig, here live at Northern Superior Brewing Company. You're listening to the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or on the Scott Nason YouTube channel, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. And as I said before we went to break, we have a special guest coming on, his first time on the show. And he's well known in the community, especially if you want to start talking about the Sault Ste. Marie North Stars prior to when he started coaching the Sault College Cougars hockey team. Mike Hall. Mikey, thanks for coming on by, and how you doing, my friend?
Great, thanks for having me.
See, it's we had Kaylin O'Flynn on last week talking about Sault College hockey. You had a successful weekend against Oakland. We're going to talk about the games that weekend. We'll talk about the future games. We did have a cancellation this weekend against Davenport, so we'll dive into all that. But before we dive into the Sault College stuff, how are you adjusting to doing the ACHA coaching comparison to the midget AAA? Is there any difference from when you coached the Stars and now with coaching Sault College, or are you still finding it the same?
Well, I think the biggest difference is the number of players that you have to carry. When we were at the North Stars, you could be affiliated with other teams. At the college, basically, it's whoever's at the college. So, this year we made some major changes and actually brought on Mark Hebert as our manager, who's very well known in the junior circuits. And, we've actually hired a scouting staff now that helps us recruit players. So the days of us standing around the college residents waiting to see who brings the hockey stick in, and ask them if they play hockey is over. We actively pursue players. As far as the difference between the North Stars and the college, there's really not that much difference. A lot of these players I've coached before, and a lot of the players that we've gotten this year are from the NOJHL, so a lot of them come with junior experience. So I guess the biggest change has been that some players have had to adapt to a new role. They might have been number one power play unit on their previous junior team, and maybe with this team or whatever, they might have to adapt a new role, be more of a defensive player.
See, with Sault College having such a successful season thus far, in the season, you guys, after winning last weekend, you go to 14-2 on the season, 14-2-1 to be exact. Impressive start to the year. You got to be happy with the way the squad's been performing this year so far. Yeah,
it's pretty exciting. Like, we played the first 15 games on the road, and to come off the road, with basically, we came off the road with a 10-0-1 record in our own conference. The only two games that we've lost this year is against D2 teams, and we did that because we wanted to see where we stacked up. The eventual plan for the college is possibly looking at moving to a higher division, but right now, we're getting our feet wet with the ACHA Division 3, and for the better part, most of the teams are pretty competitive.
See, pretty impressive when you want to speak with numbers with players. And obviously, I know you're a coach of this kind of nature and projection. It's not there's not one single player that wins a hockey game or for a team. But you, obviously having Ryan Bennerman at the fold is having such an impressive season. If you want to go numbers, with Mark Tassoni doing well as well. Bennerman has 53 points, Tassoni 31, 15 games and 17 respectively. As you mentioned, you had guys that played the AAA, the junior ranks. Look at Austin Rowe, who just formerly known with the Sioux Eagles. So that's our Sioux Michigan listeners will know him quite well. Andrew Barble is another last name that Sault Ste. Marie people would know when it comes to hockey. Tassone, Bennerman, obviously Bennerman playing with Sarnia. Then, Andrew Trowbridge, he had time, I believe, in Blind River, if I remember correctly, as well. So you have those kind of players that have been there and done that. And from what I understand from discussing with Austin, Long, Kalen, and Ryan, is that the team is close. And they also think about school. And obviously the importance of school factors into playing with your team, right? You have to be enrolled in school and be playing to be able to play for Sault College?
Yeah, they have to be enrolled in school, and they have to keep a certain grade point average. If they don't, then they can no longer play hockey. I'll just give you an example. This year in Schoolcraft, 9 kids became ineligible because of marks. So, for our players, there's certainly no reason why their marks should drop. They've got everything available to them. If they're struggling in any classes, they can get a tutor free of charge from the college. So the college supports all their athletics extremely well, and it's something that we really preach to as a coaching staff. There's, like this week, we ended up canceling practice on the Wednesday because it's exam week.
Yep.
So, and then with Davenport canceling on us, it really isn't that important that we skate one more time. So, the kids are, hitting the books this week, and that's vitally important. And they do know that if they don't keep their grade point average up, they become ineligible, and there's nothing anybody can do to help them once they become ineligible.
See, that's one thing, and I give credit, this is for somebody over at Oakland University, though, but Dave Marasco was giving me a quick quote, and I'll never forget, if you can't do it in the classroom, you shouldn't be able to perform or represent your school when it comes to the athletic portion. I know that Sault College kind of follows that as well, and obviously you do, which is very respectable. And here, this past weekend against Oakland, when you guys played, you ended up defeating them. I believe the score was 10-2 the first game, then 9-1 the second game on Saturday. You played at the Rankin Arena. Talk about the success in those games and that weekend, how you were able to pull away with some pretty convincing victories there.
Yeah, we played them down there, and they were a lot closer games, 5-3, and we beat them 6-5 in overtime. I think the biggest thing was the amount of people that showed up to our games. It really lifted our men, and they were quite excited to play in front of 800 people, and received a nice letter from Oakland after they went back saying how nice it was to actually play in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oakland kept apologizing that next time that they come that they'll give us a better competition. But I think in a lot of ways our men didn't give them the opportunity to be successful. I think that was the biggest difference in the weekend.
Definitely, and definitely convincing scores. Now, unfortunately, the cancellations weekend with Davenport, was there a provided reason as to why they canceled, or just traveling purposes, or even because of exam time?
Well, I think the biggest thing that they said was, the paperwork to come across the border. But speaking to Oakland, that's not really a very legitimate excuse. They don't need passports. All they needed was their driver's license and their birth certificate.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Oakland said it was extremely easy coming through the border.
Yeah.
So it was disappointing that they decided not to come this weekend. But we're looking forward to Saginaw. We've had discussions with Saginaw. They're all set. They're ready to go. So on the 14th at 8 o'clock at the GFL, we'll take on Saginaw.
They play against Saginaw Valley, and that's like Mike just said, Friday the 14th at the GFL Memorial Gardens at 8 o'clock. And then you also play Saturday the 15th at 3 o'clock at the GFL Memorial Gardens. $5 admission to the games, as far as I understand. And definitely an arena that can take butts and seats. There's a lot of room there in the GFL Gardens. So let's get out there and support the Sault College Cougars at the big ice surface known as GFL Memorial Gardens. Love that it's called the Gardens, by the way, over the SR Center. No offense to SR or to Steelback, if you want to go, even though Steelback's not really a thing. I like how it's called the Gardens now. Now, speaking of the Gardens, big ice surface, obviously, and the Kalen had touched this last week, was that big ice surface might be an advantage. But he also brought up a good point, stating that it doesn't matter if you play at the Rankin, the Rhodes, McMeekin, or whatever rink you wanted, you feel that your team can really adjust to those. But definitely having the big ice surface is really beneficial to the smarts and IQ that you have on that team, and also the speed.
Yeah, I think speed's the biggest factor. We play a puck possession game. We don't believe in dumping the puck or giving it away. We hang on to the puck and somebody needs to skate to open ice, and we've really been working hard about changing speed and neutral ice. Bringing guys up late and going into the zone with a lot of speed. And we got a lot of talent. You know what I mean? Like Ryan made the comment that basically we have 3 first lines. You know what I mean? We can go with anybody on the power play. We can go with anybody on the penalty kill, and certainly as a coach, that's a nice problem to have.
Yep, and definitely Ryan being the captain this year. Stats aside, he's definitely. I've been. From knowing him, obviously the vocal side of things, I have been asked how the captaincy is him, but he is a vocal guy, and he is a leader. He does show himself as a leader, and obviously on the ice he's showing himself as a leader.
I think that with the biggest thing with Ryan, even when he played at midget, he wasn't too talkative around the coaching staff, but certainly with his teammates,
yeah,
he's very talkative.
Yes.
And that was one of the stipulations that I made with Ryan when we agreed that he was going to be our captain this year, is that he needed to get a little more vocal, and he's been doing that. And he's got some great assistant captains in Andrew Barbrow and Austin Rowe and Andrew Trowbridge. So we got a pretty good support staff there to make sure things are going along the way we need them to go.
Definitely, and Ryan definitely well deserving of that. Now going into obviously this weekend being canceled, unfortunately, obviously, but going into the following weekend, what's the practice prep? Like obviously with the exam season wrapping up, obviously the schedule probably has to get a little bit adjusted going into the next weekend against Saginaw when you play. Yeah,
we have ice Mondays and Wednesdays. Usually Mondays is flow drills. You know what I mean, to keep them sharp. And then we've played Saginaw once this year already, so we basically know what they like to do. So we'll go over a few system things and break it down and make sure that our guys are ready to go.
How about going forward in the season? Right now, it seems like you won't be coming back home until January the 25th. So you're getting a lot of home games, which, you obviously play more road games than home games, from what I understand. Having that home ice, would you like to see more home games going into next season? Do you think that's a possibility, or does that all depend on the ACHA?
No, it's definitely a possibility. The biggest thing with the ACHA is they do their schedule a year ahead of time, so that's where we were a little bit behind the 8 ball this year. But already this year we've got 8 games scheduled for next year.
Nice.
2 series against D2 teams and 2 series against D3 teams. And we haven't basically even started to do our schedule. Oakland was quite impressed with the way they were treated. They're coming back. Michigan Tech and Davenport D2 are coming next year, and Trine University's already reached out. So right now we're sitting at 8 home games, which is great. We'd love nothing more to get up to 14 or 16 home games, and that would make it certainly a lot easier on our guys instead of traveling basically every weekend.
Yeah, definitely the travel could be pretty exhausting, but you have the guys that can do it, and they're still young, those kids. Okay, I sometimes I compare myself as an old chicken, but a lot of these guys are getting a chance to play some good competitive hockey here with Sault College. So, Mike, anything before we continue on to more of the North Star talk that I promised that we would talk about here? Any kind of promotions coming up beside games with Sault College, or how about some information that people can reach out to yourself or to the organization if they want to inquire about tickets, or even if they have a son who wants to try out for the team?
Yeah, all the coaching staffs Mike Hall at SaultCollege.ca, Mark Heber at SaultCollege.ca, or you can reach out to Sault College Athletics. That's been the great part. It's been a quick turnaround with the program, and up until this point, basically we've been reaching out and making the contact to players or whatever, and now it's started that players are contacting us. So that's
awesome.
That's a huge thing for us, you know what I mean? But even tonight, Mark Scondell, I'd like to watch some hockey. You know what I mean? Like I said to you earlier, we've actually hired a scouting staff, and
awesome.
Basically we meet with them on a regular basis. We know who's graduating. We know who's not coming back. When you look at this year's team, there's only 4 kids from this year's team that's graduating. So, it's going to be a tough process for somebody to come in and knock one of these players off. But the biggest thing is we tell our players all the time, we don't coach effort, we replace it. So,
I like that.
So that's a big thing. Our guys, they know each and every game that, when you carry so many players, we were fortunate that we were carrying so many players because we really bad injuries early in the year. Nick Nagro broke his foot and was out for 7 weeks, and Bryson Lalonde ended up with a concussion and was out for 4 weeks, and Jason Ewell hurt his knee and he was out for 6 weeks. So we needed a lot of players, but now we're at the point now where guys are healthy scratches. So at practice you really see the guys that are out of the lineup working hard trying to stay. Get back in the lineup, and then you see the other players working hard at practice trying to stay in the lineup.
Now, I promise this is the last thing. It's one thing I almost forgot to mention. Now, the progress that you want to see with the team, is there a goal to eventually, definitely play in a good league, but to move up, to that D2 rank? Is that kind of, obviously, maybe that's not on the immediate plans, but is that something that the college is determined to, or is that based on performance, like kind of how the team does, or has that been a conversation that you've had with the ACHA to maybe play that Division II next year and then potentially even move up beyond that in the coming years?
Yeah, the biggest thing with both Division II is there's not as many teams in Division II as there is in Division III. Our travel budget would increase quite a bit. We're talking about going into Iowa and places like that to play D2 games.
Yeah.
So certainly there's been discussion with the college about the possibility of moving up. I think we've reached out to the ACHA, and basically what they've told us is if we wanted to move to D2, it's up to the D2 teams whether they accept you or not. Seeing that we played a couple of D2 teams, the guy in Davenport basically called and wanted to play us again this year, but we just can't work it out in our schedule. Basically, he's told us that we're the best team that he's played this year, period. Awesome. And they play in ACHA D2. So I think we could be competitive, but certainly the costs need to be looked at, and also the number of days that the men have to miss school.
Yes, that's huge.
That's a big thing. We've been planning early this year about the possibility of making it to nationals in Dallas, Texas, and what we're going to do if we make it that far, because it's a week-long event. Are we taking teachers with us? Are we Skyping? Are we going to, allow them to, contact the teachers and get the work before they go? All those things are being worked on right now. We're going to have a contingency plan. But the biggest thing with the college, since the guys that come in that are involved in hockey, is just changing the culture at the college as far as winning. You know what I mean? It's just not good enough to participate. You know what I mean? You need to represent your school well, and it's created a buzz at the school now. Hockey's turned into the flagship program at the college.
Has it ever?
That's made a huge difference, and it was so nice on our first home game to see a lot of teachers there and basically taking ownership that that player scored, he's in my class. It's nice.
And seeing the talent on the ice, especially too, like the talent that you have, all the good talent that you have.
Yeah, like even against Oakland, we stopped after it was 5-0 after the first period. We stopped using our number one power play unit after the first period. And it gives some other guys an opportunity to go out and compete, but as a fan sitting in the stands, you wouldn't have known that because they can all compete and move the puck so well. So
exactly.
It's a nice problem to have as a coach.
And I definitely want to say thanks to you for letting me have a few of them on my Mayor's Open team too. It's definitely nice having Venderman and Flynn and Ozzy Roll out there.
Well, the interesting part now is we practice Monday, Wednesdays, so they don't have to make up as many excuses of why they're sick or they got too much homework. One of our athletic directors, the fill-in guy right now, Matt Trainer, is also a referee, and he says it's funny how so-and-so was sick, but they were at men's league that night, so quite a few of them got caught that way. But it's been good, and We've had some great success so far, but certainly we're not going to rest on our laurels. We need to keep working hard. We need to stay in the 1-2 spot. You know what I mean? If you can stay 1-2, it's an automatic into the national championship.
Fantastic.
If you end up 3 through 10, then you have to go to regionals. But it's just like the NCAA playoffs. Basically, you lose a game and you're done. So if you have one bad game, your season could be over. So if we can stay in the 1-2 spot, then we'll be in good shape.
Guys have won 5 in a row, and you're 14-2-1 after this weekend. Next home games are the 14th and 15th. That is against Saginaw Valley again. That's 8 o'clock at the Gardens on Friday the 14th, and that's Saturday the 15th at the Gardens at 3 o'clock. Now, Coach, before we let you go, it's my call alongside Dave McCaig and Northern Superior Brewing Company. North Stars.
Yes.
I want to go there. Josh Tirasolo, one of your captains from before he got married this summer, I told him that I'd be bringing him up here on the show, so I'm sure he'd be pretty excited to have his name dropped because Josh is. He likes to be the center of attention. But do you can you go back on some of those memories? Do you have any stories you want to share? I know I got called up for a couple games, and then right after I got called up for your squad and got a couple goals, I ended up breaking my collarbone, and then it just wasn't really the same for me ever till after I joined junior hockey after that. But great teams you have, a lot of great hockey players you have. Your teams that Chair Solo, think of Glass, you think of you had Brett Thompson, Amadio, Mickey, Patingolo, who had his number retired with the Sioux Thunderbirds. There's a lot of this local talent that's been here. Okay, so I wanted to touch on the North Stars. Then the second part of that question is, before I let you go, I had a conversation with Craig Hartsburg today with our Craig Hartsburg edition that's going to be uploaded either later tonight or tomorrow morning, as Craig is one of the members here on the show. He's talking about local hockey in Sault Ste. Marie and how it's not the same. I'm not taking that quote from him exactly, that's more of my words, but he's saying how he wants to find ways to improve is the way that Craig wanted to go in. But I'm going to ask the question that I pretty much asked him was, do you see an improvement needed with local hockey? So that's my last two-parted question to you.
Yeah. As far as the North Star days go, I think the biggest thing is kids have changed and parents have changed. The last year that I coached, that we went to the national championship hosted here in the Sioux, on that team there was 14 kids that I had cut at one point. And in those days, if you got cut, you went back and played AA and you worked
Very
hard.
good at AA too.
And the AA system was extremely strong.
Yeah.
We used to meet with players and tell them, if you go play high school, we can't bring you up. If you go play AA, we'll try and bring you up as much as we can.
Yeah.
And the big thing is, when you did bring them up, they're up for an experience. They're not up to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
So when we call players up, we use them. We explain to them that they probably wouldn't play power play, penalty kill, but they'll get a regular shift. And the kids went back to midget hockey and worked that much harder to make the team the following year.
Yeah.
It seems like now the attitude is, if you cut me as a 15-year-old, then I'm never coming back.
It's more of what you can do for me, right? Or instead of what can I do to better myself? Is that the way I'm trying to say it?
Yeah, it's exactly. You go back to AA, you work hard, and and the other thing is coaches need to spend the time at the rinks watching the AA players. Calling up kids that deserve to be called up, not just because of their name. So that's a big piece of it. Like in the North Star days, the greatest part was, as the program got established more and more and more, we were never happy. We were always pushing to be better. It got to the point that when we applied for a tournament, we knew we'd get in. They knew who we were. They knew the competition level that we had. As far as all Ontarios go, there was usually us, London, and North York, and Waterloo every year at the All Ontarios, and so we started meeting them at tournaments during the year, so we could stack up against each other and see what they had. So I think the biggest thing is not that the coaches aren't putting the time into it. I just don't think the quality of player is there anymore, and the commitment to the game isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And I think in some cases we've lost the fun factor.
Yes.
The kids aren't enjoying it. Kids are leaving hockey earlier.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that we need to work on. Here in the Sioux, it's not just a Sioux problem as far as midget age players go. I think the biggest problem is there's too many junior teams in the province, and there's too many AAA midget teams in the province. I think we need to cut down on the number of teams that we have in order to increase the quality that we have. It's kind of hard for a team from Ontario to compete at a national championship when we have 9 teams in the Great North Midget League, and Quebec has 9 AAA teams in the whole province. And in Quebec, they can go and play wherever they want. Where in Ontario, we're bound by boundaries. So there is a lot of things that need to change, but I think currently with what's going on, I know some people might not agree with this, but I honestly do believe we do not have enough kids in the Sioux anymore to support a minor and a major team. At the time that when the North Stars were around, we were a major team, but we usually had 5 or 6 minors on our team each year. And what we found was we were averaging 5 or 6 kids drafted to the OHL each year, and it wasn't always the minors. What happens is when you have 5 or 6 minors on your team, these scouts show up to watch your minors play, and all of a sudden they find a kid that's 16 years old that they really like. So we were finding that our 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds were still getting an opportunity. And then just before we left, the OHL teams were looking for 17-year-olds because 15, a lot of times they can't step in and play. They were looking for a 17-year-old kid that could step in and play. And, and a lot of that is done by reaching out to scouts or whatever and being completely honest with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when they call for an assessment on a player, you need to be honest with them and tell them exactly what they're like. If they're an off-ice problem. But some of the names that you mentioned, you know what I mean? Like each year, you know what I mean? There was kids that had the opportunity to go play in the OHL.
I missed a few.
There was lots. You know what I mean? Like I said, we averaged 5 or 6 kids drafted each year, and not what I call courtesy picks, where you were a 15th or 16th round pick because your dad knew somebody. These were picks that were in the first, second, and third rounds. So, we had some quality players.
Yeah, you had a lot of good players come through that system, and I couldn't agree more with what you said. And I would like to see a lot of the direction. I couldn't credit more to the volunteers that devote their time to coaches. Nothing against that, obviously. It's just some of the maybe ex-pro players or some people are trying to really get involved. And I'd like to see more of a direction program with our youth, get that initiative with having a director of hockey operations at the Pee Wee, kind of like, maybe not the Pee Wee necessarily, but in the Timbit level, somewhere in the Soo, that can oversee the operations of the youth hockey and really utilize Ken Belanger's facility as well. I think that could be a real benefit too. So a lot of good points there, Mike, as the argument with where is little hockey town Ontario have gone. That's the kind of topic I'd like to call it. We're running out of time here, so I want to say thank you again. You play that's obviously this weekend has been canceled against Davenport, but your next set of games, the 14th against Saginaw, 8 o'clock at the Gardens, Saturday the 15th against Saginaw, 3 at the Gardens. I want to say thanks for coming on by. Very excited to go forward with our kind of partnership together with promoting the Sault College Cougars. Going to get some more new players on here at Northern Superior Brewing Company and throughout the year. The Game Sports Show will be attending games and also doing some coverage, do some post-game stuff as well. So we'll be seeing you throughout the year.
Great. Thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks again to Mike Hall. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm bringing back in the fellas, Justin Hykel and Dane Hanchrow. We're going to talk some National Hockey League and one little bit of Major League Baseball news, because that is also still connected with our show, even though it's in the off-season. You're going to hear from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulling Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop. The Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Soo Pee Wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, this is Paul Maurice from the Winnipeg Jets, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. You're listening to the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or on the Scott Nason YouTube channel, the Twin Cities' only local, regional, and national sports show. I'm bringing back in the fellas, Justin Hykel and Dane Hanchrow. I want to say thanks to Mike Hall for coming on by. Definitely a fantastic interview there with Mike. Great guy, and obviously a great coach who's had a lot of success locally here in Sault Ste. Marie with the North Stars, now with the Sault College Cougars. Fellas, going into the professional hockey end of the show. And yes, I will do a little update with the Sault Ste. Marie Grounds and Thunderbirds before we wrap up our show in terms of a little schedule update and teasers going into Sunday. So listeners, make sure you keep tuned for that news as well. But we're going to jump right into, just because based on time constraints, jumping into our topics of the National Hockey League. And we're going to jump in right to the Toronto news. Okay, and we're going to get this over with right then and here. Right now, sorry. I should make sure I know how to speak before I start saying allergists there. But William Nylander is back in the fold in Toronto. Okay, and he's making a total of $10 million this year, and then for the remainder of his contract, it's 6.9. It's a 6-year contract extension, just north of $41 million. Now, last week we were sitting here saying he's going to be traded. That's what I was saying that maybe if he comes back, how the contract's going to look. And then William Nylander having comments that Kyle Dubas said that he wasn't ever going to trade him, and all this kind of stuff going on, which I think is really foolish of William Nylander to say. Like, I think you'll agree with Dane, but Justin, Dane, just a little round table about what you feel about the William Nylander contract. And Justin, from you being a Leaf fan, are you happy that he's back in the fold? Because to be honest, yes, I'm happy. Tonight's not looking the greatest, but we still really need a defenseman. I'll continuously say that.
I mean, I'm happy we don't have to hear about this on like a 24-hour update reel constantly on TV right now anymore. I think it's a pretty reasonable contract when you look at the numbers. I mean, as far as the tradability goes, he's getting, I think, almost half the money in the deal before July 1st. So,
yeah.
And $19 million of his $41 million is paid out before July 1st. That's not hard to move down the road. To touch on your defenseman topic, I mean, I think Travis Dermott's coming up the ranks right now to look like a pretty solid number 3 or 4 option. So, I think our top 4 is pretty settled right now, to be completely honest, and the bottom 2 can twist and toil for a little bit. But if you look, just to jump topics a little bit, I mean, our bottom 2 very well could be the top pairing for Team of Sweden at the World Juniors.
Wow. Boys, Dave.
Yeah, I'm glad it's over, like everybody else.
You sound like you are.
I mean, it's up to William Nylander to prove that he's worth the money that he's got from Kyle Dubas. Time will tell, right? I think it was an unfortunate thing. I think it was behind closed doors that Dubas said, as long as I'm GM, I won't trade you. I mean, things change, right?
Yeah.
You're locked in for 6 years, I believe. So, over the 6-year span, a lot of things can be different. Maybe Nylander wants out of Toronto, so. I'll be short and sweet with this. I think, he has to step up and prove and, show the Toronto fans that he's worth the money that he's asked for. And if he doesn't kind of hold up his end of the bargain, then you know how the media is in Toronto. So, yeah, and with that being said, if he doesn't, play to his contract, then maybe that's when those, things start happening where he might want out of Toronto. But, I mean, we'll see. I think it's going to take him a couple games to kind of get back in the swing of things. I mean, we're a third way through the season. I know he's been, practicing over in Sweden and stuff like that, but, it's a lot different than being on the ice with a couple younger guys. The Swedish, whatever Swedish guys he was playing with, whatever he was playing with to get back to that NHL level. So, yeah, time will tell.
I said this a little bit on Sunday, and I'm only going to briefly touch on this too, about 20 seconds here. I'm going to say that contract I do like. However, I'm a defenseman key. I've been saying it over a year. But William Nylander coming back is only an improvement to the hockey club, despite even tonight's performance thus far while we're recording. I really think, at the end of the day, William Nylander is going to make up the money. But let's fathom this for a second. It's a different time, but he's making more money than Nathan McKinnon is. But he's also making less than JVR is. So you got to think of it as the other side of the coin there, on both sides. And William Nylander is going to be and will help that already explosive offense. Moving on from the William Nylander, fellas. That topic is done talking about. It's been how many months, for God's sakes? Leafs' best start since 1934.
34
34 around that area. 20-8 is their. Question is this the year? And I'm going to start with this topic right off the hop, and before I slide over to Dane and to Justin, is I want to say it's the year so bad. I really do, but I want to be realistic here and say I really don't think this is the year still. I'm sorry to say that. I think it's still one more year before Toronto gets to that point of maybe next year's year where they win the Cup. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the Leafs did win the gold this year. They do have a very good team. I still think they're about a defenseman away, though, before being able to do that. If they add a defenseman, then I can say that this year might be the year. Dave.
I mean, this year is as good as any since 1967. I think they probably their record speaks to their team right now. I think they're probably better than the Boston team that they have suffered against over the years. Are they better than Tampa? I think that's going to be a really good second round matchup between the two. I think they're both loaded offensively. Maybe Toronto has the edge because they have that one extra superstar with Kucherov's point and Stamkos in Tampa, but with having William Nylander coming back, I think maybe balance it out a little bit more. That being said, Tampa maybe be a little bit stronger on defense with guys with Sergachev, Hedman, and McDonough. And then you look at goaltending, it's kind of a toss-up between the two. I think Vasilevsky and Anderson are both very good goaltenders, and I think similar goaltenders. So I know what I would love to see them play Tampa in the second round. I think it would be a really exciting, fast, high goal scoring series, but with really good goaltending play as well involved. I mean, I wouldn't count them out by any means. I think their window's very big. So you know what? I mean, if they don't win it this year, it's not the end of the world. But I think that you got to think they're one of the top 5 best teams or have top 5 best chances of winning the Stanley Cup. So who knows? Maybe 2019 is going to be the year.
I would love to see that, but I'm trying to keep my. That's the best thing I like to say. Justin, your turn, pal, on this topic.
I mean, we're off to a good start, but the team I'm seeing on the ice right now reminds me of the San Jose Sharks of old, where you excelled all season long, and you get to the playoffs, and it's kind of just like a bump, underwhelming. And not to say that that's what we're going to do, but I still think we're a player or two away from being able to do the gauntlet in the springtime. And I'd like to see maybe make it to the second round and see what we can do and build off that this year. I don't want to go out on a limb and instill some false hope for myself that it's going to be the year this year just yet. I mean, I'm open to being surprised. I'm very open to being surprised. But, I want to see the second round and see where we can go from there. Like Dane said, if we could play Tampa,
that'd be a good round, man. Let me tell you.
Like the only thing I would say to that is I don't think Kyle Dubas needs to feel any pressure if Tampa makes moves at the deadline. Like you got your core there. There's no rush to start trading away draft picks or just quality players to improve your team for a short period of time. I think you got to maintain the course that Brendan Shanahan has started from day one when he's got here. And just keep going with it. Because you know what, even if Tampa goes all out at the trade deadline or adds a big piece, I think if I'm Toronto, only if it makes sense long term. I don't think you need to rush things. I think you prefer your quality hockey team that whether Tampa or Boston adds big pieces at the deadline, I think you're still going to have a really competitive hockey team, and I don't think that necessarily makes you need to make a move. And PFC, Toronto Maple Leafs just scored.
Now it's 4-3 while we sit here and record. Still 11-10 to go in the third period.
Now it's a tight
game. It's a tight game, as Justin would say. But again, it's very exciting. If you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, let me tell you, I get very excited. I'm going to say something that I wanted to say on air here today. Now, I want to get people to get their mind out of the gutter when I say this.
Dave's pregnant.
Okay, no, I was not pregnant. I apologize. Sorry to disappoint anybody if I'm not. But Austin Matthews is beautiful overtime goal against Buffalo Sabres, which was a fantastic hockey game, by the way, against two very good teams. Beautiful shot by Austin Matthews, not surprised. But when I stood up off the couch, my pants zipper was unzipped. Much because of my jeans are not, and for some reason, don't really stay up. When you have one of those jeans, you have such a nice pair of jeans.
I got a pair.
They don't stay up. Yeah. So it was one of those situations when I woke up and I was walking, and I noticed that my pants were unzipped, I said, I know exactly why my pants are unzipped. The beauty of Austin Matthews' goal. And that's all I'm going to say, and it's the only inappropriate thing.
True love.
That is the only inappropriate thing that I'll add here tonight on the Game Sports Show, maybe. But fellas, moving on, we have some more topics, so we're going to jump into, and also with our multiple choice segment in there before we talk about the Paul Goldschmidt trade, and before we wrap up the show, we got about 7 minutes or so here to talk. So, Seattle now joins the National Hockey League. Wow, 32nd team. Now we're going to jump into the conversation of, okay, now we have 32 teams. Is there going to be any relocating teams? Okay, and we're going to kind of save that for our roundtable as we're going to jump into that question. But Seattle joining the National Hockey League. Are you guys obviously not surprised? It's something that was in the works for about a year and a half, 2 years. But do you think Seattle can withhold a hockey team much like Vegas has? Will they have the same success that Vegas had? Because it's going to follow the similar expansion draft, apparently. Okay, as such. So that could be a lot of difficulty, especially if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan or Oilers fan, if you have any depth coming up. Or if you're a team that has depth coming up, like the Buffalo Sabres. Are you excited about this team, and do you think it's going to be as successful as Vegas was? Dane, I'm going to go to you first.
I mean, absolutely. I think it's going to be successful. I think if you just look at Vegas and how well they're going to do, I think there's a bigger hockey market in Seattle where, I think there's more people that actually care about hockey in Seattle, where Vegas is more just of a spectacle, It's another thing to do in Vegas, but I mean, I think it's going to be good. I think, it's going to be a really good rivalry with Vancouver. I'm kind of excited that they're coming to Edmonton's division. I'm also excited Edmonton's not leaving that division, and the Coyotes are. Another thing, I just hope they name them the Kraken. I think that would be the number one pick for a lot of people. Yeah, I think it's good for the league, and I can see them expanding more. Based off of we finally have just evened out the divisions with 32 teams, and there's no other North American special professional sports league that has ever gone beyond 32 teams. But I don't think the NHL really has a magic number as to where they want to go. So I think right now, we'll probably see a little bit of a break with expansion right now because we kind of have finally evened out the league with 8 even teams in each division right now. But no, it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing Seattle.
The Kraken. For some reason, I want to be childish and say the. I'm sorry, I'm going to go childish out there. But Justin
Giant squid on the front of the jersey? I think that'd be wild.
Poor Detroit can't throw octopuses on the ice anymore then.
I mean, I don't know. That's what's the totems were one of them that was going around, and
the rain,
the seals or some seals.
The golden seals. Bring back the seals.
That was the California golden seals.
Yeah, I know.
I know. You know what I mean? Like the Seattle Sockeyes was another one.
Supersonics.
Yeah, it's too. I'd be okay with the Supersonics. That's the basketball team. I don't really think get some nice emerald green jerseys going on.
Sid Seixeiro thought that they should just call them Seattle with no nickname. Thought that would be a good idea. I don't know about that one.
Seattle Sports Club.
Just
Seattle Hockey.
Seattle local sports team.
So Seattle HC Hockey Club.
Oh, I like that.
But, I know I'm excited for Vancouver to kind of have a rivalry there, and I do think that that's a very sustainable hockey market. Whereas Vegas is more so like a draw because there's so many people in Vegas all the time, and your clientele is constantly changing. Seattle has that opportunity to build a base crowd like Winnipeg did when Winnipeg went back and brought the Jets back to town. It looks like there's a lot of hardcore hockey fans in Seattle just based on their just the not season ticket sales, but the ticket licensing or whatever. They sold 32,000 or something like that. The first buy-in or something like that. So I think it's a good opportunity. It's nice for the NHL and to even out the 32 teams. Finally, and the 31 is kind of weird.
Yeah. I think Gary Bettman's in the is making good basically business deals for the NHL right now. I think the economy in Seattle is apparently booming right now. And I think you also got to look that they own the sports market when the Seahawks are done football. I mean, you're going to have a couple months, including the playoffs, where that's all you're going to have until the Mariners kind of get back in the swing of things. So without that basketball team, Seattle only plays 8 games a year, the Seahawks in Seattle. So other than that, you're not getting a whole lot of live sports you're going to be able to attend to in Seattle. But now having this hockey team, I think they're going to flourish financially. And the Leafs have tied it up.
We're gonna put that goal song on. I don't know if they can hear it in the background, but no. You make my dreams come true. Love that goal song. And this is being on radio recorded right now. Okay, but get to back to the conversation as the Leafs tie up the hockey game here at Northern Superior Brewing Company. Seattle, very excited. I would, and this, like I said, it's going to be in a roundtable discussion. I still think a relocation. I know the expansion thing might take a break, but I still think there's some relocation in mind in the National Hockey League. I really think there has to be Arizona. You can hump Florida, or I don't know how these teams last. No offense. I know we can get it. This is a whole other topic that we'll save for next
sharing.
week. Yeah, that's exactly
Florida
what it
has
is.
steady ownership.
And wealthy.
That's one thing that Arizona, Phoenix, whatever the hell they're called, they don't have now I guess with their newer owners, it hasn't been as dire as it has been in the past. But Florida's got some pretty wealthy owners, and they're pretty happy to let the team do its thing. And,
yeah.
If the Panthers make the playoffs, I bet you that rink's sold out. I bet you.
Yeah, it's a hot commodity to go to.
They tend to do very good with sales during the playoffs when they are in there.
What are the I want to know what the Florida Panthers attendance numbers are in comparison to Ottawa's.
In playoff,
they're worse. Not that either of them are good, but
get producer Ghost on that.
But I mean, even just in like a playoff scenario, because Ottawa couldn't sell out in the playoffs, I bet you Florida does.
For sure. I think if you want to look at it right now, I think the NHL is in the business of expanding and not relocating. So I kind of disagree with both of you. I think you got to look at what they did with Arizona. They were in such desperation, and they didn't relocate them. I think they're going to hold out until Calgary and teams like Ottawa can get a deal done with a new arena. I mean, like, the only place Ottawa is relocating to Ottawa. And Calgary is eventually, there's no way I see Calgary leaving, the Flames leaving Calgary. As an Oilers fan, it would break my heart to not have the Battle of Alberta. So I don't think the NHL, with having Seattle coming in the league, if you really thought that you had a relocation issue where, the team was so financially handicapped that you wouldn't be expanding a team, you would be moving a team to Seattle. So I think they are financially stable, the NHL, and they are able to support these bottom 10 teams that maybe aren't are losing money essentially. So that's my kind of two cents on that.
Listeners, rethink the name is going to be with Seattle. Now we're going to add that to a multiple choice segment, as that was one of the things I was going to say quickly. We've only got a couple minutes here, fellas, to make this a quickly and dirty multiple choice segment, and we have some topics to bring to the table. Multiple choice segment, if you know what that is, it's simply just where we go around the table and I give questions and you give the answer to this multiple choice segment, brought to you by Icebreaker Sports Bar and Grill, and powered by Northern Superior Brewing Company, where we are here today, Dave alongside Dane and Justin. Fellas, multiple choice, jumping into it right now. Let's go right to that name. I know you already said your name, Dane, but we're going to go around the table and give the options for Seattle's name. A, Kraken, B, Vipers, C, Cobras, or D, the Rains. Or E, other. I had to throw another. Dave.
I mean, I saw a concept jersey for the Seattle Kraken. I think maybe it was last year when, word just came out that Seattle's, chances of getting an NHL team are pretty good. I mean, how awesome would it be to just put a giant octopus on the outside of your stadium? You already got a sponsor in mind with, your Kraken rum. But yeah, just the concepts for the jerseys look unreal. And the way I look at it is, I think all the other names or potential names are very boring, and the jersey concepts look hideous. So yeah, if I'm Seattle, I think the Kraken would be the best one. I mean, squids are in water. Seattle gets a lot of water. It rains constantly in Seattle. I don't see how, the Golden Seals, there's nothing golden in Seattle because the sun's never out. If you ever watch a game at CenturyLink Stadium, it's generally raining when the Seahawks are playing, or at least overcast. So I think the Kraken would be just kind of synonymous with how Seattle is, in a sense.
Justin, your point, quick.
I don't know. I like the totems idea. I like the Hawkeyes idea. So I'm going with the other for sure.
Yeah.
But why not go off the board and throw a coffee related name in or something like that? I don't know.
Oh.
Or maybe play off the grunge era.
Wow.
The Seattle flannels or Seattle plaids.
If we could only have a team that had plaid jerseys in the NHL, it would be unreal.
Pretty obvious where I'm going to go with this, fellas. I said Vipers. I'm sticking to the Vipers. Just got a weird.
Where's the Vipers coming from?
I don't know. I don't know.
Where
does anything
state
come
of
from?
Washington are you going to find a Viper?
Like in the water, swimming with the Kraken, I guess. The next question. Team to relocate quickly, fellas. Next team to relocate in the National Hockey League. A, Arizona. B, Ottawa. C, Calgary. D, other. I'll say quickly, I'm going to go with the Arizona Coyotes are out. I know my other popularity is probably going to be Florida around this table, but I'm saying Arizona. Obvious statistics state as to why. Justin.
I'm taking Phoenix based on their Arizona, whatever we're calling them these days. With them moving to the Central, I think they're going to be the Houston whatevers in the next 5 years.
Houston Texans. Just kidding. Dave.
I mean, the sexy pick is obviously Arizona, but I'm actually going to pick Ottawa. I'm going to pick Ottawa because of the gong show of ownership that they have there. They had a deal lined out to have this new development downtown, like a $3.5 million deal. So, just boost downtown, put an arena down there, shopping mall. I don't know what the deal entailed, but everything was there. And I know City Council is very disappointed that the deal broke through. I know Gary Bettman's very disappointed that the deal broke through. And I mean, Ontario already has a hockey team. I don't think, based off of the attendance and just the fan base that Ottawa has, because I think Toronto takes so much of the people in Ontario that everyone loves the Leafs in Ontario, right? And I think there's not a whole lot of Ottawa Senators fans unless you are from Ottawa. So I mean, my pick is I don't think any team's going to be really relocated, not in the near future. I will go with other, but if I had to pick a team, I would honestly say Ottawa, and it would hurt to see Ottawa leave because I've always had a soft spot for them pesky Sens.
Yes, Battle of Ontario. Justin, that's pretty obvious where we go to Arizona, but Dane going off the board there definitely seems like a good option for sure. Now, fellas, the next thing I want to jump into is the Hart Trophy if the season ended today. Your options are A, Connor McDavid. B, Nathan McKinnon. C, Mitchell Marner. Or D, other. I'm just going to go off the board, and I know there's other players that could have been considered for as such right now, but I'm gonna say right now Connor McDavid. I just think I know he's not leading the league in points right now, but that will change. He is true leader. He is the true reason why Edmonton even has 14 wins, in my opinion. When he wasn't there, they lost. I know Dave will correct me if I'm wrong, but that's true. He is the reason why. He is the reason explaining of the heartbeat of the Oilers, pun intended, Hart Trophy. Dave.
I mean, he would be my pick. Do I foresee the NHL kind of going that route? I mean, if Edmonton does make the playoffs, and it's probably going to be on the back of Connor McDavid, then yeah, give him the Hart Trophy. I'm going to pick Mikko Rantanen.
Off the board.
If you look at Nathan McKinnon's first 17, 18 goals this season, every one was assisted by Mikko Rantanen. That has to say something. I think it's hard because it's a toss-up between McKinnon and Rantanen. I think it's kind of hard to pick a Hart Trophy player when you have two guys on the same line on the same team that are both potential picks for the Hart Trophy. But yeah, I'd like to go Mikko Rantanen. I think the guy's been unreal this year. I think he was a little bit of a dark horse at the start of the year. I don't think people expected him to put up numbers like that. But if you look at Colorado right now, they're 13-6-5 right now. It's all coming from that top line, and I know Nathan McKinnon is the guy in Colorado, but I think you can't overlook at how good Mikko Rantanen has been this year.
Points from Dane Hanchrow. I like that. Off the board. Justin.
I mean, just current events, Mitch Marner. That's
just Mitch Marner. Just going right up with Mitch Marner. Like that. Mitchell Marner, if he keeps up this pace, he might be making Austin Matthews money when he gets a contract, which might be a little bit unfortunate if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan a little bit, as our microphone kind of cuts in and out a little bit here. We apologize to listeners if there's any difficulty hearing me say that. But all I said was Mitchell Marner's having a year that might be like Austin Matthews in terms of money making. Fellas, going to wrap up for the hockey portion of the show for our little quick and dirty edition of when it comes to hockey. We'll definitely get into more detail next week when we have a bit more time. Just to kind of say with the schedule going forward, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds having a win against Flint on, that would be yesterday, December the 5th at the GFL Memorial Gardens, winning 7-2 against Flint there. We're going to get a full weekend recap on Sunday from Brad Cochimilio, but the Guelph Storm visit the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds on Friday, December the 7th at 7:07. Sunday, Barry's in town at 2:07, and the Game Sports Show plans to be on hand this weekend at those games as well. And there's a home-and-home this weekend between the Sioux Thunderbirds, Friday at the Polish Stadium at 7:30, and the Eagles are here at 7 o'clock on Saturday. The Game Sports Show will be there as well. Sunday night at 6:30, the Sioux Thunderbirds visit Rayside Balfour. On Sunday night, we'll try to get reaction from Coach John Parko for the weekend recap as well. So when it comes to Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, the Sioux Thunderbirds, the Sioux Eagles, or the NLJHL schedule, don't hesitate to listen to the Game Sports Show or reach out on the Game Sports Show to get some tickets and also some time information, especially around the Sioux Thunderbirds and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Now, fellas, the last thing I wanted to bring up quick before we left, and I'm going to let Dane spearhead this a little bit, and Justin could chime in if he as so pleases. Paul Goldschmidt goes to the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm going to give you a minute here on the floor for that because that's a huge trade. People probably think of you as a Jays fan because how much we talk about the Toronto Blue Jays here. But we're not going to be talking about the Jays because they haven't done anything in the past week or so. So Paul Goldschmidt goes over to the St. Louis Cardinals, probably one of, if not the best power hitting first basemen in the Major League Baseball, and definitely a huge ad and a needed ad for the Cardinals. And I'll let you go on the phone to see how you feel and just dissect that trade before we wrap up the show.
Yeah, big move for the Cards. I think they're tired of losing to the Brewers and Cubs the past 2 seasons, not making the playoffs. Not something that they're accustomed to, not making the postseason. I mean, he's only signed for 1 more year. The Cardinals are generally a pretty conservative team. Don't really make big blockbuster moves like that, but they literally gave up little to nothing for Paul Goldschmidt. And now you got to look that we got Carpenter and Goldschmidt. Probably top 2 or 2 of the top 10 best hitters in the NL, and I'm excited for the future of the Cardinals. I think the Redbirds are going to be back in the postseason this year and maybe go on a little run. But yeah, I know it's exciting. We haven't really had a big hitting stud since the Albert Pujols days. So
Pujols, saw him live and it was against the Angels, and let me tell you, Albert Pujols is a really good baseball player, but I think Paul Goldschmidt may not have the same effect Pujols did because Pujols was there longer. Obviously, he spent a lot of his young days there, but Goldschmidt is going to be a guy who's in 30-plus a year, and it's going to be a big, pivotal change in that organization. Cardinals and Jays. I would love to see that one day as the final. You and I would love to have a nice head-to-head. Leafs and Oilers one year, and the Cardinals and Jays in the same year. That would be just the best year for
that's the dream, Dave. That's the dream.
And the Colts and the Falcons.
And the Colts and how about Steelers just beating both the Colts and the Falcons?
We're gonna pick a team Le'Veon Bell wants to play for.
Oh, ouch. Le'Veon Bell. Fellas, it's gonna wrap it up for our show tonight. Yours truly does have to boogie. Plays hockey at the McMeekin for the Mayor's Cup League as the Game Sports Show looks to continue a successful season. I'd like to say, Justin, I'm going to say thank you for coming on by here. We're going to be, hopefully you're able to come on by and do something Sunday with Icebreakers. If not, we will do something, if not for sure, next week here at Northern Superior Brewing Company at 6 o'clock. It is our potential last show before we go on Christmas break, as we plan to have Christmas break from the 16th until the 2nd of January. Justin, thanks for coming on by, my friend.
No problem. I'll be here Sunday. If we do a late one, I'll be there next week for sure.
Dane, I will see you at the apartment later tonight. Thanks for coming on by, and I expect food on the table when I come home.
Yeah, good luck at hockey, and we'll see.
Grocery shopping time. We need it at the house.
One of these days.
The McCaig house. Definitely needed if you're at the McCaig apartment, now the McCaig Castle. I want to say thank you to North Shore Sports and Auto, Superior Pro Shop, The Salon, Discover the Canvas, Northern Clears in Need, Big Brother, Big Sister, Campbell Laundry Hockey, Silver Creek Golf Course, Eagle 95.1, Pingator Cleaners, Wicked Sister, Sports Center Bar and Grill, Icebreaker Sports Bar and Grill, the Sioux Thunderbirds, and also local partnerships with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and also the Sioux Eagles, and obviously to Blake Winter and to Scott Neeson. Blake Winter, our brewmaster here at Northern Superior Brewing Company, Scott Neeson, our board operator, to you, the listeners, for making us a part of your night, and obviously here at Northern Superior Brewing Company for the continuous support as well. And until next time, listeners, which will be Sunday, keep your stick on the ice, swing your bat, catch a touchdown, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Play Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
You're listening to the Craig Hartsburg edition upload of the Game Sports Show, powered by Northern Superior Brewing Company and Icebreaker Sports Bar and Grill. The Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show with Craig Hartsburg, bringing you additional hockey news both locally and professionally. Craig and Dave coming to you live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And welcome to the Game Sports Show, a special edition upload of the Game Sports Show featuring Craig Hartsburg. As promised with the Game Sports Show, we're going to be having special edition uploads with the one and only Craig Hartsburg, talking about local hockey and also some professional hockey, especially in terms of his top 5 NHL power rankings. You're listening to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show on thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or on the Scott Nason YouTube channel. Now we're just going to dive right into it right now, and I'm going to introduce Craig. Craig, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Awesome. It's a snowy one out in Sault Ste. Marie. I know we were talking before we went on air there that, I think the news was a little bit incorrect yesterday, about a couple centimeters. Seems like we got even more than a foot or something out there.
Yeah, well, we got a lot more snow out here than I thought we were going to get. I woke up this morning and knew I had some work ahead of me, but that's part of the agony and the pleasure of living in Sault Ste. Marie. You get to enjoy the outdoors, but there's some work involved. So.
Oh, yeah. Lots. And now you can look outside, and I currently myself have a living situation of living in an apartment, so it's kind of covered for me that I don't have to shovel or do a driveway, but I definitely got to check up on my father to make sure that if he doesn't need some help, because he has a big driveway out in the west end of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And when it comes to the heavy snow, we get some heavy snow and lots out here, and you know what, it's the beauties of living in Canada, I guess you can say. There's a pros and cons. I find it a con because I really love the hot weather.
We enjoy both, and actually I'm pretty lucky. My wife is she's a big helper. She loves getting out and shoveling and being outside in it. So
yeah,
we get the 2-on-1 anyways, and it's not just not me. She's a big help. So we actually had a good morning. It was good to get outside and get some fresh air.
That's awesome. And Craig, I'm very excited that you're going to be able to do these special edition uploads with the Game Sports Show on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, whatever kind of schedule we can connect with. These uploads are going to be either posted individually or they'll be combined with another Thursday Northern Superior edition of the Game Sports Show. It is Thursday, December the 6th. I do plan to do this as a private upload, though, and we're going to spend about 10-15 minutes just talking about topics that you want to bring to the table that we've already discussed before coming on air. And I know we have one big one that's going to probably eat up the majority of the 10-15 minutes here, so we're going to dive right into it. It's flat out the development for kids starting at the Pee Wee and the Sault Major Hockey Association. Now, we kind of did talk about this a little bit off air just to kind of get the ball rolling with it, but the development of the youth hockey, especially in the ages of 4, 5, 6, and 7, is imperative to keep the kids interested, right? That's kind of the big thing is, and also the one big thing that I felt has been a big issue in the development of the kids hockey is the fees. And I'm not really going to expand on that as much as of yet. I want you to dive right into the topic, discussing with the development for kids.
Well, it's been interesting for me. It's been about a year and a half that I've been involved in the coach mentorship part, trying to help the coaching situation here in the Soo, and working with some kids or some young coaches, and so I've seen a lot, and I kind of went into it blind. My grandsons are obviously playing at the Pee Wee, so I'm around the Pee Wee quite a bit with them, and again, so I think I've seen some things and noticed some things. I think that we here in the Soo, I think we really can be on the cusp of doing some good things. I look at the younger groups at the Pee Wee that are starting to come through, and we do have more to help that foundation. I think again, looking at models in the U.S. and even Southern Ontario, I believe that we can catch up and do some things a little bit different here in the Soo that will help make our program stronger and better. And at the end of the day, trying to keep kids in the game because they love the game longer. And we're not talking about trying to make NHL players or OHL first-round picks. We just want our kids to love playing the game. And I think the development part is obviously huge. Anytime you're good at something or better at something, you enjoy it. It's whatever sport or whatever thing in life. If you have a good foundation, you're gonna enjoy coming to the rink or going to the golf course or going to the baseball field. And I think that we're doing some good things, but I think there's a whole lot of room for improvement. Starting at the Pee Wee and then right through Soo Major. And that's not to criticize anybody, because I think we've got a great group of volunteers that are involved in it, that are trying to help. But I think if we looked at a few areas that we can address, and I think it starts right at the Pee Wee, really. I think there has to be, my feeling is there has to be somebody that's totally in charge of running the hockey department. I think there's a lot of good people that are trying to get the administration part under control, but when you look at who is actually running the hockey, they need to develop. To me, it should be a full-time position. I think they'll have to look at hiring a hockey person that's going to be in charge of hockey development and director of hockey operations at the Pee Wee, and it starts at the Timbits and work whenever the kids are through at the Pee Wee level. Then I think they'll have a better grasp, better foundation when they're ready for Soo Major. And it's what organizations are doing in the South. It's what organizations are doing in the U.S. They run it like a business where somebody's in charge. Somebody's going to make hockey decisions. And right now, I don't believe that they're capable of doing that. But I do believe that they should be looking for somebody that would run the hockey program, which would oversee a lot of different things: the coaching, what kind of development are our young kids getting at this point. And I'd look at, and I've seen some great practices, and I've seen some other practices where you just wonder how much we've been able to help all the coaches in the Soo. I think the elite coaches, the AAA coaches, the AA coaches, I think there's been some foundation for those guys, but I think there's got to be a bigger reach out to try to help our host league, our A coaches, so that again they give our kids the foundation that they need to enjoy the game.
See, the big thing that that we discussed this was the fees is something that really sticks out to me. Was I thought the beginning issue. Now, that maybe be the cop way out, people like to say. I've been told that that's kind of a way that shouldn't be an excuse, but I was actually, before we went on air, was texting my mother about the fees, and not to really throw her under the bus, but she kind of gave me a rough estimation of how much she had to pay just for me to play hockey, and it was, let's just say, not as much. I believe she was saying it was around maybe $500 a year back when I was younger to play hockey at the Pee Wee, for example. But then it went up each year, obviously, from when I was playing. Now, obviously, from what I'm being told, you're starting off in almost the thousands.
I'm not sure that's 100% right at the Timbits level and the Tyke and novice. I don't know. I don't have it 100% what it is, but I don't believe that the Timbits kids are paying $1,000 to play hockey.
No.
But whatever they're paying, it's a significant amount. And I guess the question I asked for if it is $500 or $600, what do you get for that?
Yeah.
You're basically getting ice time and a jersey. There's nothing else that you can be guaranteed that you're going to get. They can't guarantee every kid is going to get real good development. They can't guarantee that they're going to get a really good coach. You're going to get some people that are going to pour their heart into it, but do they have the knowledge? That's not a guarantee. And I think the starting at the Pee Wee, there has to be a better focus on helping our coaches, on helping those coaches that are volunteering to coach our maybe the most important years of a hockey player at 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that's why I think there has to be a position at the Pee Wee where they look to invest some money in somebody that can, on a day-to-day basis, put a hockey program together for all these young kids. Somebody that would overlook every practice plan, somebody that would overlook, making sure that the focus is in the right area, especially at the younger age on skating. And right now I think we're putting some coaches in some really tough positions, really, to tell you the truth, to go out there and run a 4 or 5-year-old or 6-year-old practice with not a lot of help. And so again, this may sound like I'm picking, but I think that when you look at it, there's so much. The positive, there's some real room for growth, and we just have to start to think aggressively and outside the box. And again, it's so our kids will love to come to the rink. I look at a place like KBX. Kenny Boulanger has an unbelievable facility in the Soo, second to none as far as hockey training. And I think it's so underutilized by our team. I know there's individuals that will go there for individual, but my grandson's team has been there a couple times, and it's a great experience. They work on puck handling, and it's all dry land stuff that they come out of there and they have a blast. But I think between the Pee Wee and Soo Major, these are the areas that I think that everybody's got to put their heads together and say, okay, how can we make this experience for our kids so much better, so much more positive, and at the end of the day, they're going to be better people, and they will be better players, which again will allow them to enjoy the game even more, whether it's at Tyke House League or Pee Wee AAA or whatever level it is. If we start this program early and bring up our kids, plus develop our young coaches at it, I think the whole picture in the Sault Ste. Marie will become a lot more positive. And I look at the older teams, the midget teams obviously is probably a sore point in the whole city, but those age groups are, especially the major midgets, that's a product of probably 8 years of playing through this system where they haven't probably had the proper development. And now they get to the midget level, and other places are ahead. North Bay is probably ahead, and Sudbury is probably a very similar place where we are at. And you hear all the stories at that level, and it's unfortunate. And so the goal really for Sault Ste. Marie minor hockey starting in the Pee Wee is to make sure that our kids that are starting young, when they get to the midget program, they don't go to the high school hockey league that really is not a great level of play, so that we get more kids that are going to stay in a competitive league and have fun doing it. I know there's a huge cost for the parents, and they get tired of spending money, and I understand that, and I can understand the kids that are playing midgets this year, and parents that are paying the bill that are probably thinking we're tired of this. But we've the focus on our younger kids is trying to find ways to make sure that when they get to that level, they're still loving being part of the program, and they're learning about life and discipline and hard work and all those things as they're going through it. So again, once they get through to the midget level, they're still enjoying being part of a AAA program.
See, that's so big, and even with the programs, I'll give credit to the volunteers in Sault Ste. Marie is something I've been actually pretty impressed with. It's
unbelievable. These people, they put a lot of time in, and I just think that there has to be more support for them. There has to be more help so that these guys learn at a younger age. And again, if there is somebody they hire that can oversee this and then they can reach out to people that have the knowledge to come in and help these guys like myself. I'm more than willing to help coaches, and we've tried to do our best with the coach mentorship program. But there's other people in the Soo that can, that we need to get more hockey people involved, so that their knowledge, whether they've played in Europe, whether they've played OHL, whether they've played in the NHL, there's people in the Soo that aren't involved in hockey that you certainly want to see involved, because I think it'll make the game better and help our kids. Yeah. So again, the parents, and I'm a parent, I'm sitting there looking at it too, and I'm saying, okay, if I'm realistic, I'm not hoping my kid's going to play in the NHL, or I'm not even hoping he's going to be an OHL star, but you just want him to have a good, positive experience. You want him to learn about life. You want him to learn about the good things that are going to happen to you. There's also going to be some adversity that you're going to have to deal with, and you have to be able to get through those things. And I think that's what hockey should be about, and not just, okay, we're not happy because we're losing, or we're not happy because my kid's not scoring. Well, look at the other side. How can we learn from those situations so that your young kids are going to grow through the sport, and then again, once they're done minor hockey, they've had a good foundation in their life. Sports, and then schooling and parenting, all those things will come into effect as well. But we want to try to make that experience, starting from 4-year-old to 17 years old, a growing experience for our kids, and we all have to help make that happen.
See, the big thing about the hockey programs too is that, yes, being interested in the sport and even just being active, playing in the program itself, but you also develop these youths to be better people growing up too, and being around. The best friends that I have are because of hockey. And you grow up and you go to school and you have friends, and it doesn't matter if you play hockey, baseball, or football, or if you don't even play sport at all, if it goes to that point, you're still going to have friends. But, you get to the point where when you have that extra activity, that's where you got to look at for that fun side of things. It's where you make friends, and that's where kids have that fun. They want to be there more because of not just wanting to escape, but being there with people that they want to be around. And, as you get older, you grow up with your friends, quote unquote, and you play against your friends, quote unquote, and just that competitiveness, and that's where that edge was in Sault Ste. Marie before. I feel that when you look at the hockey programs and from before to now, the winningness, I feel, was like higher, and I don't mean that by any disrespect to the talent that's on the ice right now, though. But when you had a AAA team like the Sault Ste. Marie North Stars before that went 30-4-2 or something on the season, and they went all the way to the All Ontarios and won, then they go all the way to the TELUS Cup and the All Canadas, and you win that. Or when you have the AAA team winning the NOHAs from the Pee-wees, like the AA team, from Soo Major, or from Pee-wees, when they would win basically all the tournaments. It was always between the Soo, Sudbury, and even Blind River was in there. Blind River always had good youth as well. So it feels like from what it used to be to now.
I think one of the things in the Soo right now is everybody's looking at the midget programs and thinking their minor hockey is in shambles. And it's not really. I spent last weekend with my grandson's team as a grandpa, not as a coach, and watched them win the Silver Sticks in Sudbury. As they were 8 years old, I watched the 9-year-old team play, and they played very well. They lost in the semifinals, 1-0 to Ottawa teams. So our young teams are right where they should be, and I think that we have to make sure that we're helping develop not only those groups, but even the groups underneath them. The teams that are so-called A level or whatever at the Pee-wee, we have to do a better job of helping those kids and those teams. So every year there's more kids competing for spots, and then making sure that as these kids grow through the program, their progression is steady. And for whatever reason, there's some drop-offs at the older ages. I think and there's always going to be a year that maybe your team's not as good as Sudbury or North Bay. That's just part of life. But again, I think we have to focus on our kids learning, developing, loving the game, and making it a great experience from the associations right through to the coaching staffs, and there's always issues with at some level. You hear some horror stories, but again, the program, if it's run right from the bottom, there should be a lot less issues as these kids get older. And again, I think at the Pee Wee, that's where I'd love to see them hire a full-time director of hockey operations that would oversee the development, the practice planning, the running of the Timbits program, so our kids get the right start. And I know the Sioux Greyhounds I'm on the board with the Sioux Greyhounds, and we would like to be a lot more involved. We donated quite a bit of money to the local hockey organization through the 50-50 draw, and in the past the money has just been handed over, and we really haven't paid a lot of attention. I think now we want to make sure that the money is used in the right way, the development for our kids, because we feel that we have a stake in it, and it's not that we're going to demand things, but we certainly want to see that the kids are enjoying the game, as a Greyhound brand, and some of these teams are wearing our jerseys, which we feel is very important, and that'll continue. We just want to make sure that things are going in the right direction. And like I said, the positive thing for me, I look at the whole thing, there's so much room for growth here, and if we can get people to jump in and help out. And again, I think it starts with the Pee Wee trying to look at how we can improve our foundation of our game for our kids.
Yeah, it's definitely on the different side of what it used to be, but with the help of individuals like yourself and also great volunteers that we have at the helm and the people that are available in Sault Ste. Marie, like we can name people here and obviously I'm not going to throw anybody out there, but we have the people available, I feel, to have that type of position of the.
I commend everyone that volunteers their time to coach young hockey players, and I just think the organizations have to do a better job to help those guys improve as young coaches, and which I think is the job of the organization. It's not just putting a guy in charge of a team and not knowing if he can actually coach or not. It's just help him.
Yeah.
Put some programs together that I think before we even start, we need to do some on-ice sessions with our coaches so that they have an understanding of how to run a proper practice, how to make the drills flow from one to the other, how to keep that pace. We can talk about it with them, but I think now we've got to take some steps and put some on-ice things, and that starts with the organizations wanting to do it. And there's lots of people that are good coaches will be more than willing to help some of these younger coaches that are coaching in the host league, so that again they see and they can see some of the things that have to be done, and it's not just the drill itself, it's just how to put the drill in place, how to get the kids moving in a practice. And I had one coach tell me, kids don't like to come to practice at Pee Wee level, and I was like, and he started blaming the parents, he started blaming the kids, and I said, you know what, it's probably your practice.
Yeah.
Practice is probably not. It's probably boring. It's probably not They're not interested in it. So, if you're 10 years old, why would you want to go to practice if it's not any good? So, if you're not enjoying it, so the coach's job is to try to make those practices upbeat, enjoyable, and at the same time, there's skill development, and the kids are having fun coming to the rink.
That is for sure, and that's the practice component of it is what keeps the kids or the youth, whatever the age group may be, engaged and interested to continue to play. And
they all want to play. Everybody, if the puck drops in a game, they all want to play a game. But I think there has to be the practices have to be so much fun, and at the same time, there's drills that our kids are doing. They don't even know they're getting better, but it's just some organization, and again, I think there's ways to help our young coaches, and instead of just talking to them now, I think the next step is the Pee Wee and the Sioux Major have to put some programs together so that we actually go on the ice, and we've got some real good young coaches that can show some of the other coaches, how to run a proper practice, how to work on skating drills and puck handling drills, so that it's the whole organization organization, we're helping not just a small group of coaches.
See, one thing that I liked to hear when I can remember hearing, which was about maybe almost a decade ago now, from when this is back when I was starting to get into the junior ranks, was the quote unquote they used to call Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. This guy that was involved in the media in Southern Ontario said to me, Sault is known as Little Hockey Town, Ontario. That's what he knew it as, and that's one thing that maybe people turn away from it now, and things do change, but it'd be great to get the Sioux back to that recognition.
Yeah, and we can. There's, I think, obviously there's, and I talked about Kenny Belange's facility is a place where I highly recommend every team to go once a week with their kids, whether they're 7, 8 years old. They'll have a blast there. They'll be doing stick handling. They'll be shooting. They'll be doing some sprints, some stuff that is going to make them better athletes, and I think that should be the focus as much as just making better hockey players.
Yep, Ken Belanger, someone who also is a part of the show as a sponsor as well, has definitely done great. He has a fantastic facility. I couldn't agree with Craig anymore with that for sure. Now, Craig, any more final thoughts with the youth hockey before we go into our NHL power rankings before we let you go?
No, I think it's a process. I've kind of watched and seen some things and tried to help in situations, but there's a lot of work to do. But there's great people involved. I think we just have to everybody has to keep trying to work together and help each other. And I think to me, if they can, and again, I think the programs in Southern Ontario, they have full-time people, and obviously our resources aren't probably as high as in the financial part as they have down south, but we can certainly put somebody in place that is really going to direct the hockey operations at the Pee Wee. I believe that's an area that should be first and foremost. That there's a focus and somebody that has the knowledge and that will direct on a daily basis on how these teams are run and how these levels are run is I think very important.
For sure, I couldn't agree more. And hey, any coaches or any other individuals in Sault Ste. Marie that know as much as Craig does when it comes to this, definitely you can reach out to myself or reach out to somebody, and we'll point you in the right direction to talk if you want to get involved and help with youth hockey in Sault Ste. Marie. Now, Craig, getting into the NHL power rankings. This is definitely something I kind of threw right at you that I really preferred you to do before the end of each segment that we do with you. It's been a very, let's say, interesting season thus far up to point. We're just almost at the third point, almost there, or even just getting there now of the season. And it seems like just yesterday that puck drop happened in the National Hockey League. But, it's been a very exciting season throughout. And obviously a big drama with the Toronto Maple Leafs was William Nylander. There was, there's been just kind of some coaching changes. Been a lot of change in the National Hockey League just in a few months. Yeah. But getting to the...
We talked about the coaching changes a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been, there's been some time now, and I looked at the standings, the three teams that changed coaches in the West. Was it St. Louis, LA, Edmonton just changed, but there's somebody else. Chicago, and all three teams have floundered.
Yeah.
I take that as I like that. Because it's so easy for people to blame the coach and the coaching and at that level. And there's three teams that it hasn't helped them one bit. And
especially Chicago or St. Louis.
Well, exactly. It is what it is. At that level, it's maybe just I don't want to say an excuse, but I think they have to do, at some point, I guess teams have to do something for the media, they have to do something for the fans, and they're hoping that it will spark their team, but for the most part, you're firing a Joel Quenneville that has won 3 Stanley Cups, that you're not going to find somebody that's going to come in there and do a better job. So,
no.
So anyways, that was one little thing that I want to throw out there. I look at everybody, it seems like anybody that knows a little bit about hockey, as soon as the team starts to go wrong, the first thing they want to do is blame the coach, because they think they know more than what that coach is actually. Meanwhile, he's getting paid millions of dollars to coach, so it's kind of funny.
No, and it's not the case, especially a good point about Joel Quenneville. That was one that definitely most surprised me, to be honest. And even the Edmonton Oilers with Todd McCullough, to be honest. But,
when I think what Edmonton there, I think what Hitch has done is Hitch has brought Hitch hockey to Edmonton, and he's tightened up the reins there on even McDavid. They're not winning 5-4, 6-4 anymore. They're going to win hockey games 2-1 and 3-2, and eventually their offense will come back to them, but they needed to have a bigger focus defensively to get themselves in a position where they're hard to play against, and they don't have a fast, dynamic team other than the one guy, and so they had to change their focus, and I think Hitch has done a pretty good job of doing that right away. It's whether he can continue through the rest of the year and make the playoffs. That'll be the
that's big, is that defensive end that Hitch definitely will bring to that team. For the power rankings portion, top 5 for the power rankings that you have to date right now, Craig.
Well, my number one team still, you look in the league, is still Tampa. They, I think they have been probably the most consistent team through the year with, and they're not relying on just Stamkos. Stamkos actually has become a secondary player for him, believe it or not, and Braden Point has become, to me, their go-to guy along with Kucherov, and I like their defense. They're big, they're strong, they got some good experienced guys in the back end. And I just think their overall game, but this is nothing new for Tampa through the regular season. I think they've proven over the last couple of years they can be a great regular season team. The big question still for them will be, can some of those guys perform at the same level in playoffs, and that's where they haven't been able to do it. But right now, I look at them as still the best team so far.
Now, with the going with the other 4, for second, third, fourth, and fifth,
Toronto obviously to me is second. I think they're so explosive, and now adding Nylander back to the group, I think they'll continue to grow as a young team. But they're an explosive group. They're fun to watch. Their goaltending has been, to me, the best in the league. He's been the best goalie in the league so far.
By far.
As much as their offensive explosiveness with Matthews and Marner and then Riley on defense, I think they're still their best player all year has been their goalie. And but they're a good team. They're young. It'd be interesting to see as they go through the second part of the year that's where things start to change in the NHL, where things start to get tighter and the game starts to get harder. That'll be a big test for Toronto.
It'll be huge. Now who'd you have for third, fourth, and fifth?
Nashville for me is third.
Yep.
And they're a good team. They're experienced. They've been through some wars through the playoffs. I really like their defense, and their goaltending has been good, obviously. So I like them as the number 3. And number 4, I'm going with Colorado. I think they're
nice.
Again, when you look at their goals for, goals against differential, they're right up there. That one line is outstanding, but the rest of their group has, and it may not be in scoring, but they find ways every night to contribute, whether it's the checking part, the work part, the energy part. They're a fun group to watch too, and all these teams that are at the top for me, they play fast, they play a good two-way game, they play fast, and their special teams are all pretty good too. So Colorado before, and I kind of have a tie for 5th. I think Winnipeg and Calgary are, to me are right there. There's lots of teams that are close, but I think those 2 teams, they maybe have lacked a little bit of consistency, the 2 of them, but they're, Winnipeg to me is a playoff built team. They're big, strong, they got skill. Calgary's, again, they've changed their team over the course of the summer, where the question marks whether the changes would help, and I think they have. They've added more offense to their group, and I think they're playing with a lot of energy. And the question there is whether they can get that high-end goaltending to carry them through some playoff rounds at the end. But I kind of have those 2 teams tied for, and then I would look at down the road, I guess, Washington, which still looks like even though they lost the last game or so. But that'd be my top 5. I guess it's 5-6 really, but some real good teams. They all have high-end talent. I think that's the one thing too, is their top-end players, and all those teams are they're the top-end players in the whole league, and when they're at their best, it's like the coaches always say, your best players have to be your best players, and that's what those teams are getting.
For sure, you had Tampa first, Toronto second, Nashville third, Colorado fourth, then a good tie between Calgary and Winnipeg for fifth. Paul Maurice from Sault Ste. Marie's and also listener of the show have had what we plan to have Paul on in the future. It'd be awesome if we had you on when we had Paul on too. Craig, that'd be a good discussion between two great coaches. Now, the power rankings couldn't agree more. I love the fact you mentioned Colorado. That's their line between Landeskog, Rantanen, and McKinnon is... It's just absolutely disgusting. I like to use the word filthy, to be honest. That's
it'll be interesting, again, with that team, because they deserve where they are right now, but as the season goes on, things get tighter.
Yeah.
It's always after Christmas, things will tighten up, and not to say teams haven't tried to stop that line. I think every night they probably go into a game where the focus for the other team is that line, but I think even more so after Christmas, where the points are so important. It'll be really interesting to see how they keep progressing. But so far, they've been their numbers. Those three guys it's incredible, really, what they've done. And again, strong, fast, big, that just play every night. And their best in Colorado, they can say it for sure. Their best players are their best players.
Well, absolutely. I have Nathan McKinnon, though, by far is one of the top three. I'm almost at the top three ranks in the National Hockey League. He is fantastic and something to watch. And it'll be interesting as Nylander returns to Toronto tonight as the Leafs are playing the Detroit Red Wings. Now, Craig, we're going to let you go. You and I, we like to, go into our overtime with time. I won't keep you any longer. We're going to be doing, like I said, editions either weekly, bi-weekly basis, or something that we can figure out just based on our schedules. You will be doing uploads, like I said, on this bi-weekly, weekly basis, talking about local sports or junior sports or even professional sports, just be random topics that we're going to be bringing to the table. Then obviously we'll have your power rankings at the end of each show. If you want to reach out to Craig, you comment below on the Podbean page or on the website, and I can definitely get the question directed right to Craig for you if you want to talk about these power rankings, as Craig is always open to discuss sports, much like myself and other panel members here on the Game Sports Show. Craig, I want to say thank you for coming on by and taking the time. We're definitely going to be in touch within the next week or so.
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We're going to wrap up this special edition segment of the Game Sports Show here. Don't forget to listen to previous editions of the Game Sports Show or future editions, obviously, as well. Keep an eye on our Podbean page, Instagram, or Facebook page for uploads. You've been listening to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show with special guest Craig Hartsburg. Until next time, listeners, keep your stick on the ice, swing your bat, catch your touchdown, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.